Hello, my name is John. I am a chaplain, Christian Science chaplain, and I serve in San Francisco in the city and county jail system. I was prodded into this work by a friend of mine who said you would really be good at this and you would enjoy it, I'm sure, and that person was correct. I love this work.
My name is Lori, and I was invited to come and read Christian Science church services in the same jails that John goes to. This was long before we got married, and it took me a little while to get used to the idea of doing this. Honestly, I was a little bit nervous about it, and I didn't really know what it would be like, or what kind of people we would be working with, or what it would be like to go into a jail. And it took me about a year to decide that I was ready to do this. We go into the men's jail here in San Francisco. As John said, I've learned so much and gained so much satisfaction. We were talking about this the other day, that it's probably one of the most satisfying things I've ever done. I've raised 3 children, and I have 2 grandchildren now, and sometimes I feel like I don't have time to do this. But the thought of not doing it anymore is just impossible. I really don't think that I could not do it anymore.
So this one particular incident of a healing that we experienced with one of the inmates, he came to one of our church services on a Saturday night, and he enjoyed the service so much that he wanted to know if we could get him a Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. And we said, we can do that. We can't bring it to you, but we can line it up for you, and the religious services people will get it out of the locker and give it to you. When you go into jail, you are given a physical and or given a questionnaire about your health, and he had marked off that he had asthma all his life, and then Lori suggested strongly that he first look at the last 100 pages of Science and Health, which is the chapter on fruitage, which is testimonies of healings that people had by just reading the book.
He was excited about getting this, and went back to his pod after the service was over. And then just this last week, last Saturday, he came into the service. It ended up he was the only one in the service. We have anywhere from 1 to 15 people, and it's often best if we only have one, because we can get we can talk about their personal experience or problems or things that they're working on. And he said, I've been reading the Science and Health, and it's great, and I did what you told me to do, to read didn't he say that? He said to work on that last chapter, the fruitage chapter, reading about all those healings that people have had. And then he said that he had gone to, he had to have a physical. They have a hospital, kind of a small hospital right inside the jail, right? Mm-hmm. And then he had gone to have a physical, and they told me that I no longer had asthma. And what did he say?
And we just said to him at that point, well, this is wonderful. You just had yourself a healing. And he was beaming, he was all smiles at that point, and realized that, that must have been what happened. So this was wonderful news. Lori asked him specifically if there was something that he read in the chapter of fruitage that struck a chord with him. And he said, well, there was one thing, it was called animal, and then Lori said magnetism, and he said, yeah, that's it. I was intrigued by animal magnetism.
He kind of wanted to know what that meant. Mm-hmm. And we talked about it a little bit, and that it was just the suggestion of things not going well in your experience. And you have a choice about whether or not you believe that. And I think that reading those healings gave him what he needed to understand that better. Because he said, yes, that sounds like what they were talking about.
After when I visited him last Thursday, after he told us about his healing, the thought came to me that he really should write this up for these websites that David has, the Light in Prison and or even a sentinel testimony. So I asked him if he would consider writing up this lovely healing that he had, and he acknowledged that he would do that. And I said, well, that's great. We look forward to reading what you
have to say.
have to say.